All right, let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the CA APM Community Town Hall. We're very excited to be holding this session today. It's a yearly continuation from last year's Town Hall. We have on the phone today representatives from CA Support and Product Management, and we're happy to answer any questions you guys have. Please feel free to type any questions you have in the Q&A box. There's also an option to ask your questions verbally over the phone if you'd like to do that as well. So we'll be standing by to answer any questions that come in. Let us know what you guys are thinking. If you would like to ask a question over the phone, you can click *6 on your telephone keypad to unmute yourself. We muted everyone just to make sure we didn't have any background noise for the recording.
You could sing a nice solo while you wait.
Don't be shy. We're here to answer your questions. I know it's hard to be the first one and break the ice. Keith, did you have any big questions that came in last year that maybe we could talk about while we wait for someone to ask a question? What did you guys notice last year? Was there any feedback on the community?
I want to say it was mostly, there's a lot of technical questions like how to and what if and things like that. I'm trying to remember.
It's okay. I'm wondering if there's anything we can talk about in the meantime while we're waiting for people to start asking their questions. I do see Kevin Massey is trying to ask a question. Kevin, please feel free to either click *6 on your telephone, or you can feel free to just type into the Q&A box on the Webex as well.
What about some quick overview of the next release for APM? When is it coming out? Any cool new features, something like that?
Keith, it's Chris. I am just getting into the parking lot. Let me put that off until I can get into a room and actually answer without any distractions.
Yeah, hi, this is Mark Adelman. I've been fumbling with the phone to try to figure out how to unmute myself. I think I finally have done that. Melanie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Okay, hi. So hello, folks. My name is Mark Adelman. I am VP of Product Management for APM. And the question was, give us a little peek into the next release. Our next release is APM 10. It will be released this summer. I don't have a firm date to give you, but it is not very far away. New features. Well, I will tease a few things. We are improving the HTTP correlation so that cross-process transaction traces will be far more effective out of the box, as well as the triage map. And while we're talking about the triage map, I will tease one more thing, that the triage map has been subsumed into a entirely new UI built on very modern Angular frameworks, built with professional designers, both interaction designers as well as visual designers, applying their best-of-breed techniques to this entirely new interaction model and new UI. So we're very proud of this. You'll be seeing more of that coming in the next few weeks, or actually 4 to 6 weeks. You'll be seeing messaging around that. So I can't tell you more, but we're very excited to be able to release this soon.
Mark, can you hear me?
Thanks for the update.
Yes, Chris.
So if you have more questions about the stuff that Mark just said, we'd like to invite you to join our beta community, and that gives us a place where we can be a little more forthcoming about some of the topics we just talked about.
Yes, thank you, Chris.
How would the users go about joining the beta community and signing up for some of the peaks and some of the new features?
Chris?
Hey. We were playing switch the phone here. How do you join the beta community? Well, you know, it should be an easy one-step process, but we outsmarted ourselves and made it a more than one-step process. So there is a link on the APM community homepage, I believe it's on the right side, that points you to a simple blog entry that talks about the 2 steps that you have to follow. Simply put, the first step is to fill out an NDA that makes sure that it's an individual, not a company-based NDA that makes sure that the things that we discuss in that community are kept private and confidential, and whereas the things in the APM community are open for anybody to join. And then the second step is to just request membership into the private community, which is a subset of the APM community. So it's not a long, egregious process, but I did put a blog entry together just to make it simple and clear for everybody.
Great, and I will put that URL into the chat box so everyone can see it for that blog post. Thank you.
What other questions y'all have?
We did have a question come in from Kevin on some details for APM 10, but I let him know to just please join the beta community for more information about that. We have another one that came into the Q&A box from DOS about compatibility with upcoming Java releases. I'm not sure if you guys could speak to that or not right now.
Yeah, I see that now. The question is APM 10, is that going to be compatible with upcoming Java releases? If you're asking about the versions of the JVM itself, Java 8 was, well, released, made official in the last several months. The answer is yes. We actually have support for Java 8 now with 9.7, and absolutely it is our intention that APM 10 and future versions of APM will keep up to date with all the releases of the JVM and JDK.
Great, thank you for the question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now pasting the blog post into everyone for the beta. You can find that in the chat box if you're interested in joining. That's the blog post that Chris wrote on joining the beta community. So Kevin's question did focus around Power Packs. I'm not sure, that's for APM 10 as well. I'm not sure how much of that you guys can
I think I can answer this. First, the question is the APM 10 release going to support existing Power Packs, or is there a next rev for those to work with 10? We expect that most or all of the, well, certainly all of the official Power Packs will be supported on APM 10, and I would expect that most of the field packs that will also work with APM 10. The new user interface that I was teasing will take advantage, well, I'm sorry, let's say it the other way. The existing Power Packs will feed the new user interface. There is no need to upgrade your agents to take advantage of the new user interface, although there are 1 or 2 features that you won't be able to take full advantage of until you upgrade the agents.
Great, thank you. Okay, does anyone have any other questions? We're here for you guys, so we want to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. You can feel free to type your question into the Q&A box, or you can feel free to ask your question verbally as well. Either way is fine. And again, we have representation from both product management and support on the line, so technical questions are great as well as what's coming. And while we have a second, I just wanted to let everyone know we are going to be having another APM office hour session. That's going to be coming in July 21st at 11 a.m., so please feel free to join that. It's going to be a similar session as we're holding today, but instead of an anything goes type thing, it'll be more support-related questions, and we'll be doing it via online chat. Please feel free to give us any feedback on the community as well. We're happy to hear what you guys think, anything you'd like to see coming, anything along those lines, in addition to product management and support questions. So we had another one come in from DOS on web server PP and MQ agents. Can anyone answer that on the line?
Web server, Power Pack, and MQ agents don't show CPU information. In the future, are these going to count as licensed agents? So I think there are 2 questions there. One is about the web server Power Pack and MQ agents not showing CPU. As of right now, there are no plans to add CPU information to the web server Power Pack or MQ Power Packs. I suspect I know what you mean when you say you want CPU information, although rather than me guessing, it would be wonderful if you could supply an idea in the ideation forum that kind of describes the use case and what it is you're looking for, so we don't have ambiguity. And we will certainly look at that. The second question in here is, in the future, are these agents going to count as separately licensed? And once again, as of right now, there are no plans to change the pricing or packaging around the web server Power Pack or MQ.
Great, and we had another one come in from Jeff. Will support for Oracle 12c be available for version 9.7?
Yeah, we'll have to look that up in the Chris is off to the side here saying that we need to look that up in the compatibility guide. I don't know the specifics around 12c, although I can tell you that we have at least 1 request coming in for that. So it's in the pipeline, if not already supported. We'd have to check in the support guide.
I'll see what I can look up and get back to you in a minute.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, thank you.
Question back to you. This is to Jeff. So 12c Oracle, is that for the APM database, or are you talking about Oracle 12c as a SQL backend?
He came back and said for the APM DB.
Okay, go check that. One thing we're working on while I'm looking this up is a simplification and expansion of the compatibility guide to make it much simpler. We have a couple
to answer questions like
this.
this.
A couple of things we're working on there. We recognize that some of that information is far too arduous to go out and find. We are trying to, frankly, keep our customers in mind and make sure that the documentation is clear and simple and straightforward. I have intent to move the compatibility guide actually onto the documentation wiki website so that it's all in the same place and you don't have to find one link in one place and one in another. And then we actually have some prototype things that we're working on right now that create a simple query kind of system so that rather than a long spreadsheet or a long list, you can put in the thing you're looking for and it'll tell you yes or no so that you don't have to try and cross-match things. Okay, I'll look that up now. So the APM 9.7 compatibility guide, it looks like 11GR2 is the latest. Now let me go look at the draft compatibility guide for APM 10. My version is a couple of months old and might not be current. I won't take the time to go further at this point.
So while you're continuing to look that up, there another question came in on the chat around MQ high availability and EP agent. The question is, any improvement on MQ high availability and EP agent? So I'm not exactly sure what you mean about EP agent, but around MQ high availability, that is something that we're looking at right now. We're examining what it will take to support the high availability on the MQ agent, and I expect to have an answer in the next few weeks. So when we have one, I think there's some broad interest in this. We'll post something on the community around that. And I'm not sure what you mean around EP agent. If you want to clarify that, I'll try to answer.
And while we're waiting for that, I wanted to remind everyone to check out our tech tips available on the APM community. Our support engineers spend a lot of time creating them, and they're very helpful. I put a link in the chat box to all of the tech tips that are available in the APM community, so check them out when you get a chance. Thank you. Okay, we have another question in from DOS. We have a few dashboards. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, the question is, we have a few dashboards working in the console, not showing up in WebView. Why is that on version 9.6? There might be a few reasons for that, but the one that comes immediately to mind is if you've constructed a dashboard with a type view, and placed a type view from the investigator, you can drag and drop that into a dashboard. Depending on the complexity of the type view and really how it was implemented, that may not render on WebView. So that's one possibility. Chris, can you think of another?
That was enhanced in 9.7. That XML type views now do show
now,
up easily.
Okay. So
I think the question was on 9.6. So
yeah,
9.7 should render most type views equally in WebView. So for those who are not familiar, a type view is a tab page in the investigator. And you can drag and drop those tab pages onto your dashboard so that you can have quick, easy access to a transaction trace or errors or whatever other thing you're interested in. Type views come in two flavors. The ones that are more advanced are referred to as Java type views, and they are not supported in WebView unless they've been explicitly updated to do so. The XML type views that represent, for example, the overview page. When you go look at blame point metrics and then you see the 5 graphs that show response time and errors and falls and such, then there's a table that puts them all together. That is an XML type view. There's no programming that's involved in those. And as I recall, in 9.7, all XML type views are natively supported in WebView now.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, I got an answer back, Jeff, this is for you on the Oracle 12c support, presently targeted for 10.0.1. That'll be the service pack after APM 10, which is what we're presently in the latter stages of working on.
For looking into that.
I guess while we wait for a few more questions, again, this is Chris. I'll just maybe build and riff on a little bit of what Mark was talking about with APM 10. Obviously, we are barred by different SEC guidelines from being terribly specific in these forums, and I realize that that might be frustrating to some of you, but it's just the matter of being a publicly traded company. The stuff that we're working on for APM 10, we are incredibly excited about. It represents, in some ways, the culmination of well over a year's worth of effort to reinvigorate the APM engine and to bring some true innovation to the things that we're talking about. One thing I noticed here, for example, is in the features that we're talking about today, and this is not meant as any sort of a derogatory statement, but the things that you're here asking us questions about are specific features and specific functionality. And those things are all important. We're going to continue working on those, and we invest heavily in platform and framework support and uplift to make sure that we're current on those things. What we're doing in APM 10 is to not just invest more in that space, because we realize that that's kind of the cost of doing business. We are investing heavily in APM 10 on some really new and innovative, some compelling features that are not things that you're just going to see anywhere, things that you've even seen spoken about before. We went out and did a whole bunch of research. We synthesized that research to understand our users' needs, and from that we came up with a roadmap that are the things that we want to go out and build that we think will be very compelling and important new directions in the application economy, where the kinds of things that you're monitoring are becoming more and more dense. The numbers of microservices and we could call them agents and so on, but the numbers of things that you're monitoring are continuing to increase. And so a simple linear progression of we're going to give you more dashboards or whatever they are isn't necessarily the right answer. So while we don't yet have time to go into, or have the ability, excuse me, to go into full detail on what we mean by that, we're intentionally giving you a little bit of a teaser here. We have been incredibly hard at work on that. And as a result, we're going to have some substantial new innovation to share with you in the very near future. So the beta community is the place where you can get more detail on what we mean by that, so that it's not just a bunch of kind of nuanced, fog-laden statements.
Hand-wavy, just trust us.
Yeah,
there's real code and real pixels behind what Chris is saying.
But I promise I'm waving my hands right now.
So please, yes, if you're at all interested, sign up in the beta community, and we can open the curtains and give you a far bigger peek as to what's going on.
Let's build on that for a second, too. I'm not sure everybody knows. You've heard Mark here. I think many of you have at least heard from me or spoken with me in the past, have been around for a while. Let's just do a little bit of ad hoc introduction here. I want to introduce Mark before Mark introduces Mark. Mark is a terrible person, and I hate working with him. Mark,
you'd be surprised at how often I get that.
Mark Adelman was one of the original Wiley employees, and you were what, deputy CTO, something?
I served as deputy CTO for a couple of years.
You know, one of those made-up titles at a startup, right?
Yeah.
Mark holds perhaps.
I carried around a gun and a holster and a badge as deputy.
Mark holds perhaps more patents than anybody in the APM team, and he went and did a stint in another team at CA for a number of years, and came back and rejoined us several months ago, and is now leading our product management team. After having worked with him for a number of months here very closely on a daily basis, I am just so thrilled that he chose to come back and join us. Having the experience of the former Wiley days is obviously a great catalyst in understanding what we're doing. But Mark also brings a unique understanding of both the technical and technical realm and what it means to be in engineering and develop this stuff and the costs and the trade-offs and all of that, but also a hearty understanding of what it's like to sit in your chairs and to be the customer and consume the software, and ultimately what you're seeing through us, and I hope you start to get a sense of, and even our light conversation today and hopefully back at CA World as well, is the sense that, first of all, we're moving with a true sense of urgency. We're building things that matter, but most importantly, that we understand the problem. That is a huge difference that I see in this team over the course of the last year.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Just a quick comment about understanding the problem. I spent, while I was an employee of Wiley, I spent at least 4 years doing nothing but traveling and installing, at the time, Intrascope and helping customers work through their own performance problems in their own applications. So I sat in the chairs that I'm sure many of you sit in, been party to the conversations of, oh my God, what's going on? Where's that problem coming from? The manager peeking over the cube wall every few minutes asking what the status is. I get that, and I am a little surprised that the world hasn't changed that much since I've been gone, and disappointed, but I'm actually really thrilled that we can now take an opportunity to really redefine how that works and how you solve problems and do it in a way that is far more livable, sustainable on a day-to-day basis. So APM 10 represents our first step in that direction. I hope that you guys will sign up for the beta and see why we think it's a big step forward. We know it's not going all the way there. We have plans to keep going in this direction of making it easier and easier to understand your environments and understand the problems that are occurring, so that you can apply solutions much more quickly and more accurately and with more confidence.
I think what you'll really notice is the speed at which we're operating now. The kinds of things that you're going to see that are dramatically different than what you've seen from us in the past will have occurred in only a few short months from the last time we delivered software, when 9.7 came out in December. And that's, gosh, for many years, I remember, so a little of my own background, I came from pre-sales here at CA. I've been here for a long time and now help with the product management team. And you know, for a long time, there's a lot of good intentions about moving more quickly, releasing more steadily than in an 18-month cadence, and inevitably, things got in the way with that. And so now that we're moving more towards a twice-annual cadence, we have payloads that matter with things that are new and compelling and interesting, but it also means you don't have to wait very long to get the next payload after that. And those two things put together have completely changed the feeling inside of our business.
So enough of tooting our own horn. Let's get back to it. There's a couple questions on the Q&A section here. There is a question about something new or something done in EP Agent. Is it going to be officially available? I think you're probably referring to the REST API that's available in EP Agent. So for those of you who don't know, EP Agent is a wonderful little tool that has a few different network APIs.
It's our SDK.
Yeah, it's essentially our SDK for you to pump in really whatever data. If you can scrape the data from a log, from a shell script, from whatever, EP Agent is your pipe to get it into Intrascope as a metric or an event, as something like a stall event or error event. And then once it's in the Intrascope that way, or once it's in APM that way, all of the capabilities of APM come to bear. The EM doesn't actually make a distinction between agent or metrics that come in through EP agent versus metrics that come in through one of the officially supported agents, so that you can do things like alerts and dashboards and all that other good stuff. The specific question is on what was added in EPA. That was REST support. So in addition to a funky little HTTP API that we have, and even a telnet-like API that we have, a socket-based API that we have something that's much more modern and easy to communicate with, and that's a REST interface. When is it officially available? It's officially available now, I believe. 9.7. Yeah, I believe it's available both as a separate download, and if you don't have 9.7, well, it's available for 9.7 as a separate download, and then included in the service pack for 9.7.1. So it's part of that 9.7.1 package.
So if you don't have 9.7.1, well, you could go download it as in 9.7.1, but it would have been available in 9.7 as, I think, hotfix 2 is what.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. But at this point, you can, even if you're not on 9.7.1, you can go and download it from there. We have some additional enhancements that we're planning for it, just so you know where we're going with this. The work that has been done to date with that RESTful API is to allow the sending of metrics. We will focus on allowing the sending of events, that is errors and traces, via a RESTful API as one of our next scheduled activities. And we have a few more tricks cooked up after that that are coming in the near future that will allow you to take this API and use it to decorate what we're doing in our new UI as well. And I think that's where you're going to find some really compelling and interesting ways to take data from other sources and not just show it up inside of APM, because we've done that for many years, and it's very, very valuable. I think it's kind of an unsung hero of things. At the same time, you can argue that taking data from place A and showing it in place B has only a certain utility associated with it. It's useful, but it's not something that people are going to say, dang, that's super cool. We want to move into the dang, it's super cool category with some of the other updates that we're working on here in the near future.
There are a few more questions here. We have a comment and question about type views. Is type view syntax to be, is the type view syntax the same? I think it's been changed in version 9, and the answer is the type view XML syntax has not changed. That's been stable for a number of years now. So if you have written some type views, and I know that there are customers who have, I would expect those to work in 9.7, and as Chris pointed out, the enhancement in 9.7 is that those XML type views can be moved into a web view dashboard.
Let's say you're interested in this idea of type views and you didn't know much about them, and it sounds like, hey, I could make some cool columns and tables and take metrics that otherwise I would have had to click 7 places on, and I can show them up on one screen. Yes, you can do that. We launched several months ago a developer community. If you're not familiar with the developer community, it's well worth your time. It is another sub-community on the APM community, and it is designed for those who wish to extend and otherwise add on to the out-of-the-box capabilities of the APM product. Having a place to talk about stuff is nice, but certainly nothing for us to get excited about. What we've done on that community is a couple of things. We put up sample source code. We have Ask the Experts kind of a thing where you can talk to not just product managers, but pre-sales, services, SWAT engineers. Where you
guys who spend their days building this sorts of enhancements or customization.
I want to build a type view that does this. How do I do it? We're making ourselves available for that. We also have examples and how-tos for PBDs, type views, JavaScript calculators. There's several different categories that are out there that have step-by-step, how would I go and do this thing, along with code examples, to make it much easier for you to figure out what you want to do to extend the product. The last thing that we're doing on that is that we have a GitHub presence now, and you'll see that the organization is out there, and we've started with a few projects that are out there. In the course of the next several weeks, probably over the course of the next, I'd say, 4 to 6 weeks, we have a number of, I'd say, multiple dozens of various field packs that we've collected over the years that we're going to run through a simple little process to post the source code for them up onto GitHub. If you would want to contribute to that kind of a thing, you could, for example, go create a type view for, let's just make something up here. Let's
ActiveMQ.
ActiveMQ, great example. So you go out and harness JMX-ish metrics from ActiveMQ, you send them in on your EP agent, and you want a nice way to look at those in one screen. You go create a type view. Now your EP agent plugin and the type view, you could share that with us on GitHub. The community can add on to it and enhance it in various ways, and there's now a place where we can all look for one place where we can look for the multiple things that would extend the APM product. You should see a lot of activity coming up in the next month or two on that, but the developer community with the how-to guides exists now today.
Thanks, Chris. And I put a link to the developer community in the chat box. We also have a link on the last slide of this presentation. So you all should go check it out. It's a really great place to collaborate.
Thanks, Melanie. What I hope you're seeing here, everyone, is that we're really trying to be a lot more transparent. We're trying to make sure that the things that were historically kept as tribal knowledge or that you picked up through your own experience or by talking to your buddy who was—
Or, God forbid, decompiling the code.
Not that you ever did that. If you talk to your friends in sales or SWAT or services or support, and they'd guide you through, oh, I never knew how to do that thing, and you felt like you were very successful as long as you had the phone number of somebody who could help you. We were really trying to break those walls down and make all that information publicly accessible.
There is another question regarding the new EP agent and 9.7. The question is it available? Is the new REST EP agent available for 9.7.0.27? And the answer is
Hotfix 2.
Download Hotfix 2. That will give you the REST-enabled EP agent, and that will work with the 9.7.0 line of code, or line of the product. There was another comment that I thought was just a good example of using EP agent. DOS says that, no, customers sometimes want EP agents instead of Spectrum and eHealth for systems monitoring. Certainly we're not in the business of the deep kind of visibility that you can get from Spectrum and eHealth and products that are dedicated to monitoring the network space or any part of the infrastructure. But certainly if you have blind spots in your visibility and only need lightweight monitoring and bringing that into your APM monitoring environment, EP agent is a great conduit for that sort of thing, acting as an SDK or an API for this sort of thing. And all it requires is either downloading some pre-built thing, as Chris pointed out, from the community website, or writing your own shell script to do maybe pings or trace routes, and then taking that information, feeding it through EPA, and then seeing it in APM. I would add one more step to that process if you decide to write a little pinger shell script and want to feed that into APM. Please post it back onto the community site. Let others benefit from your work.
For sure.
There are.
Okay, there's a question of policy on field packs. Tim, I want to make sure I understand what you're asking here. Policy on field packs. Is this the support on them, the availability? Help us understand exactly what it is that you're asking about. If you want to come off of mute and just talk to us, you're welcome to.
Again, it's *6 on your telephone keypad to unmute yourself. In the meantime, we had another question come in from DOS.
APM 10, max historical metrics limit for a single collector. I thought we removed the historical metric limit altogether a couple of versions ago.
I don't know the answer.
I wouldn't make that my final answer because I need to go back and double check, but I seem to recall, because it was 1.2, I remember that, and I know that that ceiling was lifted several versions back. Whether there is a ceiling or not now, I probably need to go do a little bit of research so I don't mislead anybody.
And also a little bit of forward-facing comment on this. We are revising completely the sizing guide for APM 10. Likely that guide won't come out on the day of APM 10. We'll release the product and The new sizing guide will be available after that, mainly because it's very time-consuming for us to run these sizing exercises. It can take, in some cases, several weeks. And the fact that we're going to be revising the guide to make it more useful to people in the field and customers, we're going to take our time and make sure that it's done right. I expect that the sort of general housekeeping that we do as part of the EM and as the agent, you will see changes and hopefully major improvements in the guidelines for what a collector can handle. Right now, I have no idea what that is. It's just a hope. We'll have a much better idea of what that's going to be in the coming weeks. So Melissa, help us out here. Have we answered the questions in the Q&A section so far, or have we missed some?
We are all caught up. I've been responding to each and letting them know it's answered verbally. We are recording this session, so we'll post it in the community later. I don't think we'll post the Q&A transcript just because most of it's being answered verbally anyway.
Tim says, for some reason when I talk, nobody can hear. That has to be
Tim, it's not just you. I hear that all the time. I say things and nobody pays attention.
I was told that the field packs will be officially supported if you install them in production. Is that true? We're working on something right now. Mark, you want to just give a little teaser on what we're going
on? So as many of you are probably aware, there are officially supported power packs. These are products that come out of the engineering organization and go through our QA, and I think now in almost all cases, if not all of them, they are available as part of your regular APM license. Separately, we have amazingly talented people in our field teams who write what we call field packs. These are extensions to the product, often new PVDs, tracers, name formatters, that kind of thing that offer very deep visibility into particular technology stacks. We have some on MQ that we've been talking, or not MQ is actually an official power pack, but we have some on TIBCO, Active MQ. The list actually goes on and on. Chris can probably rattle off a few. But what we have heard loud and clear from customers is that regardless of which channel is building this functionality for you, whether it's the engineering organization with the official QA or the field team that's offering this value to you, you want to be able to use these solutions in production and know that the CA APM team is going to back you, is going to support that. Traditionally, we have not supported field packs, and that's just, frankly, poor practice on our part. So right now,
we have to figure out what the right way is, right? Because you could go out and write something. Y'all know how APM works. You could write something that could inflict a lot of damage and pain on an application, and for us to say, yeah, we're going to support that, would obviously not be a smart decision either. We'd lose a lot of respectability by bringing it on production environment.
So that's exactly right. At this very moment, we have a couple of people who are
right now.
Well, thank you, Chris. We have a couple of people right now, the head of our SWAT organization and the head of our support organization, working out a process, an internal process by which we can offer support for the field packs. And just so you get a flavor of what that means is, as long as the field pack or the author of that field pack follows particular guidelines, colors within the lines, and they're busy trying to figure out exactly what those lines are, and they offer the right internal documentation to our support teams so that if there is a problem and you call up, the support engineer can have something intelligent to say about the field pack. Then we can offer support for that functionality. We expect that of the, I don't know, how many field packs would you say we have, a dozen or so?
Probably like 3 dozen.
Wow. So of the 3 dozen or so field packs that we have, we expect a large portion of those to be within the lines that I was just talking about, to fall within this process. And all we really need to do is fill out some documentation, again, to make sure the support engineers can be intelligent when you get them on the phone. And then we will have that support policy down, and moving forward, the field who are producing these field packs for you will understand this process and follow it sort of naturally for the course, and these sort of things will be just sort of naturally supported. So we're, like I said, we're in the middle of trying to figure out exactly how to do this. It's all about offering support for those things that we can in fact support properly and give you what you need regardless of what channel the solution is coming from.
So we'll make notification on the communities, I should say, on the main one as well as the developer one, when we come up with the final wording on how those policies are going to be. This is not something that's terribly far out. We want to make sure that we have things thoughtfully considered. As I mentioned, we were telling a little bit of jokes there, but there are a lot of implications to what Mark just mentioned. We know that for large customers with mission-critical apps that you're running APM on, that generally there's a statement that says we're only going to use supported things in those production environments, and we don't want to just we don't want to swing the pendulum too far either direction. So it's historically been, well, we don't want to support any of these things, and we know that's the wrong decision. If we swing it too far, we could unintentionally inflict pain on your environment, and we're committed to not doing that. So that's where the guidance has to come from. We're going to zero in on that here in the near future, and then we'll come to you with a simple policy on it.
Yeah, and I'll also say that this is a nuanced thing and a lot of ins and outs around it, and this particular format makes it difficult for us to have a back and forth dialogue to sort of clarify things and understand your concerns about this. So if you have concerns or questions about this forthcoming policy for supporting field packs, please post it on the forum and on the community forum, and we will. I think that will be a much better facility for offering some of the nuances here and doing a bit of a back and forth around any concerns or questions that you might have. So Tim, I hope that addresses the question about field packs.
All right, everyone, we have about 10 minutes left. If you have any last-minute questions, please be sure to get them in now. It's your chance to chat live, so don't miss out. All right, well, if there are no more questions, I guess we could wrap up a little bit early. Let me advance to the last slide and give everyone a few more minutes. If you still have a question, please feel free to type it in the Q&A box. We do have the APM developer community, which is promoted here, which Chris was talking about earlier. It's a great resource to collaborate with other members of the APM community and other developers. A lot of great things like field packs, CP agents, things that Chris was talking about earlier. We also have an upcoming office hours in July, so be sure to RSVP for that on the site. The link is there on that last slide. And thank you, everyone, for joining. And
Melanie, before we one more thing before you drop.
Sure.
I know that these sessions haven't been held very regularly. What would be wonderful is if you could put a poll up on the community site asking folks the right cadence for this sort of discussion.
Okay, yeah, for office hours or?
No, for this kind of town hall discussion.
Okay, yeah, we have been doing it annually, but I'll pose a question out to the community and see what they think on that.
Great, thank you. I wasn't aware of that. Thank you, Melanie.
Sure, no problem.
We encourage you to ask these kinds of questions in the community as well, that they're not reserved for this.
You need to save them up for a whole year.
Well, a lot of the, a lot of the community dialogue is about, how do I tweak this feature or whatever, and some of the more constructive conversation in the community is actually around ideas, not just can you support MQ version 57, but let's talk about your ideas on better, smarter, more advanced ways of approaching the problems that you're dealing with every day. That's a dialogue we would love to engage with you in.
Okay, great. On that note, thank you everyone so much for joining. Thanks to Chris, Mark, Matt, Daniel, Hal, and everyone that joined on the CA side, and Keith as well. And we will speak to you at the next office hours. We also have a webcast coming up. So thank you everyone, and we'll see you out on the communities.
Thanks a lot, Melanie. Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.
Good day.
Bye.